right, all right. Welcome back to the Brutally Honest Loan Officer podcast. I am Derick Brown. With me, per usual, is Stephen Brock. Say hi, Stephen.
Hello, per usual. Makes me sound.
It makes you sound like you're riding my coattails and just always with me, no matter what I say. No, I'm just kidding. But let's give a warm little podcast welcome to Marisa Falk. She is joining us. Marisa,
Hey
say hi.
guys. Hey there, how are we?
I'm doing great. Stephen, how are you?
Doing good, doing good.
We wanted to bring Marisa on, kind of get her perspective on some things as a realtor. But it's always good to see you, Marisa. How are you?
I am good. Just living the
Anything-
dream over here.
Anything new and exciting in your life?
Not entirely. Just raising 4 kiddos and doing the thing.
4 kids in the summertime. That sounds.
4 kids in the summertime. So
Young kids too.
yeah.
You've
Yeah.
got 4 under.
Well, when the baby was born, it was 4 under 8.
Oof.
But the baby is now 1, so my oldest is 9.
Dang. Good for you.
Yep.
Like I gotta think, like, I
Organized
almost want to
chaos.
do like the grandma thing and just be like, well, bless your heart.
Bless your heart. Yep. I get that
Oh.
daily, actually.
Yeah. I think Tony and I, we are good with 2. That was our magical number. Marissa's magical number is 6. So she's got 4.
They're really 6?
No,
I
no,
was like,
not
geez.
6.
Now, before you
Not
had 4, I feel like you weren't ready to stop. But is 4 like, do you feel maxed out now?
I am one of those weird women that like love being pregnant and I love having newborns. My husband would probably jump off a cliff if we had another baby, but
It's half his fault.
you know,
So
yeah, I tell him that all the time. But no, I think we're tapped out at 4.
Gotcha. All right. Well, we're going to do a little interview. And the first question we always ask our guests is a fun one. Do
Okay.
you believe in aliens?
I do believe in aliens.
Okay. We've got a believer.
I
One
think
day we're going to
everybody's-
take all the answers to that question and mash it up for a video or something. I think it'd be fun.
I love
think
that.
we all, I think everybody, I don't think there's been one person that has said no.
Oh,
Have we had anybody say no?
I don't know. I think I'm a no.
Are you?
I lean way more towards no than yes. Because I gotta see it. I don't know.
Look in the mirror.
Too funny.
Little icebreaker question, but that was good. Oh. It's my turn. Sorry. You are asking questions. I'm just sitting here. So I don't know you, Marisa, at all. So tell me a little bit about yourself. Where are you from? Where'd you grow up? All that stuff. You were born
I
and now
am-
you're here. So what happened?
Yep. I was born in actually Sanford. So I'm a Central Florida girl through and through, Seminole County. I went to Lake Mary Elementary all the way through Lake Mary High School. So when I say Lake Mary is my roots, that is through and through. And I moved away for college, moved away for a few years after we got married. And as soon as we started having kids, I was like, we need to get back to Lake Mary. So I am just a Lake Mary girl.
So after college, you and Davis moved away?
We did. We moved to Tallahassee for his job.
Oh, I didn't know that.
So our first 2 babies were born in Tallahassee.
Wild. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. All right. So you did the college route, and then, like, what did you do prior to real estate?
I was an elementary school teacher. And
That's right.
once we had our second baby, as I'm sure Derick knows, I had 2 under 2, and it made no financial sense for me to continue being a teacher. So I stayed home, and that's kind of what led me in years to come into real estate.
Gotcha. So tell us about that then. Did it like just pique your interest? You were curious? Were you 100% like looking for some type of job that you could do, or like how did you like truly get into real estate?
We just had babies really young, and so we had the 2 under 2. I mean, they're 20, almost 21 months apart. So very quick. And then by the time we had our third, I loved being a stay-at-home mom, but I felt like I needed something for me. Like I love the hat of mom. Like that is my number one hat that I wear. But I needed something. I'm such a busy bee. I'm such like a type A, can't stop kind of person. And I sort of felt like I was like spinning my wheels just being a stay-at-home mom.
Right.
So at the time we had just purchased our first house. And my realtor then, she's a broker. I just reached out to her and I was like, hey, I am thinking about getting my real estate license. Do you think it's something I could do while also being a mom? Like I wanted to be able to, my perfect world was to be able to make a teacher's salary while also staying home with my kids and not having to do daycare and all the things.
Right.
And she was like, yeah, absolutely. Like you could do it really part-time, like go nice and slow. So I got my license and I jumped into it and I was like, I'm not doing this part-time. This is so fun. So literally from the second I got my license, I was full throttle, full time, nonstop, hit the ground running kind of deal.
Yeah, I don't see you doing anything like slow.
No,
So
I don't know how to do anything slow.
yeah, once you start getting into something, you're 100% in.
Yeah, exactly.
That's awesome.
I mean, having two kids under 2, I've been there. Yours are a little further apart than mine. Mine are 11 and a half months apart. So
Oh, wow. You went for it.
We were pregnant and then, hey, we're pregnant again, you know.
Yeah.
The first
Isn't
one
that
was
so?
like,
You
oh,
were almost Irish twins. Isn't
they're
that Irish twins?
Yeah, they're Irish twins.
Yeah, there's Irish. Yep.
And now that they're, you know, there was probably a good, maybe when they were like 2 to 4, you could tell like, okay, they're different, you know, different ages. Now they definitely look like they're twins. And then my daughter will probably start shooting up again. So she'll start outpacing him and they won't look like twins for a couple of years and we'll be back at it. But yeah, they're a handful. I definitely feel you on that one. So so you went into real estate, you loved it. What is your favorite part about being a realtor?
Selfishly, I love looking at houses, but I also I think it's the teacher and the mom in me. I just like helping people. Like I like being able to guide someone through something from start to finish. And I think that's really like what got me hooked, if you will. It's fun. It's a way to help people and it's a way to kind of tap into those teacher feelings that I had.
Love that. Yeah. Right. So then what's your favorite real estate story? Because it sounds like you're emotionally connected to some of the people you work with. But do you have like a favorite, you know, I don't want to say client because we don't have favorite clients, right? But do you have like a favorite like real estate story or like a crazy story?
I definitely have a crazy story, but I also have a favorite story. So I'll go with the favorite because that's a lot more heartfelt. The other one is just wild. Sure. But I was an athlete. I played soccer all through college, played a little semi-professionally here and there, but I love a good challenge. And so I think that's why I also like real estate is like no transaction is the same. But I had a client who Derick helped them finance their first home and they wanted to sell, I kid you not, 10 months later. So talk
not
about
because they didn't like the house.
No, not because they didn't like the house. They were moving out of country. So talk about a good challenge, right? So I put the house on the market just 10 months later for quite a bit more than what they paid for it, because obviously I wanted them to be able to come out on top. Right. And interestingly enough, I ran an open house the day after I listed, got a buyer to come unrepresented. So I got to kind of deal with both ends. Not only did I get my sellers a return on investment, but I also had the buyers have instant equity when they purchased the house. So it was what I thought was going to be a crazy challenge and ended up being so smooth and so wonderful. So it's easily my favorite transaction.
Like perfect little puzzle pieces fitting together.
Yeah,
like
it just went together so well. Yep, absolutely.
I feel like that's and I feel like that's difficult too, like if you're going to represent both sides. Yeah. Because you want to sell for the most money, but as like representing buyers, you don't want them to overpay necessarily. Like
absolutely.
That's hard finding that, you know, happy balance between the two.
Yeah, for sure.
That's awesome. Love that. Now, okay.
You said you had a crazy story. We're not gonna let that slide.
Yeah, okay. I gotta know. I'm a nosy person. I gotta know.
Okay, so I had a seller who, interestingly enough, I actually looked at his house. He was selling for sale by owner. I looked at it for myself, popped over, toured it. He was home and I gave him my card and I was like, hey, I'm a realtor, like, but I'm actually looking for myself. I'm not trying to get your business, whatever. He listed with another agent. It was on the market for a while. I ended up not being interested in it for my family. And like 6 months later, he calls me and he's like, hey, you came to my house to view. I was with another agent, but decided to, change the direction I was heading with that agent. That should have been my first red flag. Hindsight's 2020. I should have called the agent and said, hey, why did he fire you? Like, what was the situation?
Right.
Because then I would have known he was wild. Listed his house, got it under contract on closing day. He was not moved out of the house yet. So the buyers were super sweet, very flexible, and said, okay, we'll give you to the end of the day. Like, take your time, get the moving truck there, whatever. Well, we closed, I think, at like 10 o'clock in the morning. It was now 9 o'clock at night on the closing day, and he's still not out of the house. The buyer's agent's calling me like, hey, they want to move into their house. They own the home. We funded, closed, all the things. And this guy just wasn't leaving. So I call him, it's not like he was a friend or a family member or whatever. Like, I genuinely didn't know much about him. He basically told me, and I'm going to try to be as close to exactly what he said. He said, if you tell the buyers to come to this house, it will be a bloodbath. And I was like, oh, okay. Well, you've closed on the house. You don't own it anymore. So we had to get officers involved and he had to be removed from the home.
Wow.
Like, was he making an effort to get out and he didn't like that they were trying to rush him, or?
Yeah, I mean, he was trying, right? Like, he was doing his best. He waited till the last minute. I actually went over the day before closing and helped him pack myself, and was putting things in boxes, bringing them downstairs from the closets. Like, I was doing the best I could to kind of push this through. And he had it in his mind that the buyers saw his items and like wanted him to leave and vacate the property and leave all their stuff because they wanted his belongings. And that obviously wasn't the case. It's just kind of like what he made up in his mind. And so he just wasn't leaving. And so he actually got trespassed and was removed from the house.
Wow.
Damn.
Yeah.
That
Yeah. So I
is a
should have
crazy story.
asked the agent, hey, why weren't you listing it anymore? So I ended up calling her and asking her, like, is there a reason you guys kind of parted ways? And she was like, yeah, he was crazy. And I'm like, oh, should have known.
There it is. There it
Be
is.
like, but I closed it.
Yep. But I mean, it was done. It wasn't pretty, but it was done.
Oh,
That's crazy. I mean, I've had situations where closing day comes, we go to do the final walkthrough with the agent. I'm not there. But then I get a call like, hey, seller's not out. Like,
Yep.
and I'm like, okay, what do we do? Do we like postpone? Whatever. There was one time I had customers go through a walkthrough. And at the walkthrough, there were like a lot of items. It was not clean, but they had clearly moved out. And there was a dog. They left the dog.
No way.
100% left the dog. And so then they're like, we don't want a dog. Like, this is so awkward. And apparently, like, I guess the realtor went and talked to like a couple neighbors, and one of the neighbors took the dog.
That is
But like,
insane.
somebody left a dog. Are you kidding me?
That's really sad.
I can see like a wild cat. Like I had a buddy that bought a house and there was a cat. There was like a stray cat outside. He's like, it took him months. Like the cat wouldn't go away because I guess the old owner fed it, so like it stayed around. He's like, I can't get rid of it. He's like, I don't feed it, but it still comes here.
Yeah. I'd be okay with an outside cat. That's fine.
Yeah. An inside dog, not so much.
I don't know if there's really such thing as outside dogs. Like,
Very true.
in our area.
Yeah, my dog thinks he wants to be outside until he's out there for 2 minutes. It's too hot.
Previous owner gets trespassed. That's a
Previous
good, crazy
owner
story.
gets trespassed. Yeah.
That's crazy. Okay. All right. So we kind of went history wise on what transactions have happened with you. So you've been in real estate several years now. How do you see the market evolving? Maybe even from when you started to now, or where do you think it might be going with everything?
I stepped into real estate right before COVID happened. So as I speak to more seasoned agents, if you will, they all just kind of laugh and like, wow, you really stepped into real estate at the perfect time. Because obviously then the market was going crazy. Now, I don't know. Part of me feels like this is the new normal. I feel like rates are just kind of where they're going to be. Everyone speculated that they were going to drop significantly. I obviously don't see that happening, anything huge at least. So to me, I think this is the new normal. I think this is kind of where we're going to be. Um, Moving forward, I know I'm going to focus a lot more on trying to get listings just with, all the NAR craziness going on, settlement stuff, commissions, all that good stuff. I am really going to try to focus on hitting a lot of listings. I saw advice the other day that was like, open houses are going to be the new thing. You have your listing, you host an open house, and you try to get buyers to come in that way, and then hopefully,
Right.
I guess, double in the deal, and go that route rather than focus on getting buyers. Because I am a very, I think, buyer heavy agent, but in the direction things are going, I think I'm really going to try to focus on listings now.
Right. Now, does the NAR settlement concern you? Like, are you one of the realtors that's like, oh my God, what's going to happen to my paycheck? Or are you just, your worth, you're going to be fine? Like,
I think I'm definitely more of like, if it'll play out how it's going to play out, and you go with it, you figure it out, you find a way to make yourself successful no matter what, and you just roll with the punches. I'm not like panicking by any means, but I also am not sure how it's going to play out. So I'll figure it out. I'll make it work.
there you go.
Let me do this, because to me, I'm not a realtor, so the NAR settlement, I feel like if whoever shows the most value is still going to be valuable to any buyer
Yeah,
or seller out there. So what is
absolutely.
one thing you do as a realtor that you don't see other realtors doing? Or what is something that you see realtors not doing that you think they're missing, kind of thing?
I think it's the personal relationship. Realtors kind of get a bad name. Like, we open doors and we get paychecks. Like, for me, I want you to feel like, as my client, we're walking through a house together and I'm there as your friend. I'm there to offer advice. I'm there to help you how I can. I'm not just someone you're paying and hoping that, you get to the end no matter what. Like, I want to genuinely hold your hand and guide you through the process. And not only that, I want you to like me so much that you use me in the future. And I'm at the point now where I've built my clientele by myself, and 90%, probably more than 90%, 95% of my business are repeat clients. And I see a lot of agents who will sell a house with someone and then they never use them again. And to me, that's a failure. Like, to me, I want to build relationships. And I think that's where a lot of agents don't do a good job. And I want my clients to be my friends. I want to have them so comfortable with me that they want to continue using me in the future.
Yeah.
That's really good.
I don't think there's a bigger compliment for me when a past client reaches out for financial advice. Like, not
Absolutely.
necessarily mortgage related. Like, sometimes it's prepping, like, hey, next year we want to switch school zones for this reason or whatever. So we just want to reach out and see, like, how can we put our best foot forward? Like, I love that they reach out to me for that, because we did a refinance, 2 years ago or something like that. Like, that just makes me feel like, for one, I did my job then. Two, I'm doing my job now of staying in touch with them, and then three, like, they're looking at me for future advice. Like, that's like, if I could get that with every single, customer or client interaction, then like, I'm going to be okay in the future. So
Yeah.
like,
Yeah.
I just feel like that's me building my future. And all it is just staying in touch with current and past clients. Like,
Absolutely. Yep.
it's not
I'll
really
let ya.
science behind it. I think it's just, that's the way, I don't know. Like, that's the way we've been kind of taught, like at the mortgage firm, like with like our coaching program and stuff like that. Database is big,
I think
Yeah.
there's not science, there's math behind it. It was like 80, I think it's 84% of people say they'll use the same mortgage or realtor person or recommend them. And then it's like goes down to the teens that actually do, because we're in a business where things could be years before somebody ever talked to us again. like our
Right.
that has to use our services again, not talk to us, but use our services again. So having that relationship with everybody is huge, and that's really what drives your business, and people don't realize it.
Yep.
You know,
Yeah.
can't be transactional.
Yep.
Are you feeling good?
Okay. So busy with real estate, just had a baby. How are you managing to juggle the mom of four, wife, you
Yep.
know, and real estate professional? Like, how do you like, I guess, yeah, how do you juggle it all?
It's organized chaos. Luckily my husband has a somewhat flexible schedule. So he can kind of pick up the pieces where I need him. But I am very honest as a person, and I just tell my clients up front, hey, listen, I'm a mom first, and then I'm your realtor. So if you want to see a property when my son has a soccer game, you're gonna have to wait 2 hours. Or if you want to see a house when I have I'm picking up a child from school, I'll absolutely show you the house, but I might have 1 to 4 children in tow. And if they're not okay with that, that's perfectly fine. Maybe we're not a good mesh together, but I think as long as I kind of am upfront and disclose, like, hey, I'm a mom first, and I always will be a mom first. I've never gotten into a situation where my clients don't really respect that, or they don't, they don't think that they think that that's something they wouldn't want to deal with. But I mean, I just make it work, it's just dividing and conquering, really.
You know, I think anytime we kind of, I don't want to say ask this exact question because I don't know a lot of people with 4 kids. Sorry. Actually, my one buddy has 4 daughters. I don't know how he does it. He's got 4 daughters, a female dog, and his wife. And I'm like, dude, how do you stay in that? But I think that a lot of people that are successful are just like, I just do it. Like,
Yeah.
like you said, like it's what I have to do. I got to be a mom. I got to be a parent. I got to work. I just do it. Kind of thing. I make time for it. So I think
Yeah,
that's
but
great.
it sounds like you set parameters too. Like you've got just things in place, like just setting the tone from an early stage, and somebody like working with a buyer or seller, setting the pace that you're a mom first, I think is huge. And I struggle because I'll tell you right now, I struggle with that. I have like I guess anxiety. I guess like if I get a phone call, I have to answer it. Like I have to answer the phone.
Oh yeah.
Because I'm always terrified. Like if it's a potential customer, they might just be calling the next person to see who answers first. So like that's, I don't know. And I've gotten better with some of my realtors, and like, shoot me a text, let me know, and then trying to schedule a meeting with clients and stuff like that. But still I'm nowhere near as perfect as far as, balancing that.
Yeah, I think it was definitely a learning curve for me. I'm very much a people pleaser. I think it comes with being an athlete. Like, you don't know you're doing a good job unless someone tells you that you're doing a good job. Right. And that's been so instilled in my head that like when I was the same way. Like someone would call and I'd be like, oh my God, I have to answer right now. And I'd like run outside while my kids were like watching a movie. But now I literally just answer the phone, and Derick's probably been on the phone with me 90 million times with the child screaming in the background. And I'm like, hey, I can talk to you now if you don't mind my kids going crazy, or if you could call me back in an hour when they're napping, we can have a one-on-one conversation. So far it's worked. I'm sure there's some people that wouldn't like that, but as long as I'm, set the boundaries from the get-go, I think it's worked well.
Yeah, I think you're good with that. And I think that also that COVID, like people have kids. So it's like your family is involved in everything now, no matter what, because some of us had to work from home for so long that they're like, hey, you're on Zoom and here comes your kid walking across. You're like, it is what it is.
Yep. You're like, well, yeah, exactly.
Yeah. So I think that's one of the advantages of COVID that we had, is that people are like, people have lives outside of work and their family's going to be in and out of it.
Yeah.
What is I'm not gonna try to assume this, because you kind of said, hey, you didn't have parameters at first, but what is one piece of advice you would give yourself when starting out, or just your younger self, to going into real estate?
You don't have to do it all. And I feel like that's something I really struggled with, was like, I felt like I needed to be at everyone's disposal 24/7. And just learning through the years of like, hey, it's 10:30 at night, put my phone on do not disturb. Like if it's a crazy issue, I'll handle it right then. But I've learned through the years, like, it's okay to wait till the morning. It's okay to let them wait for a minute, because whatever issue, I'm not going to fix it at 10 o'clock in the morning, at 10 o'clock at night. So that was a huge learning curve for me, and that's something that I'm still working on. Because again, people pleaser, but you know, it's something that I had to learn, and I've taught myself through the years.
Love it.
I
Great
do
advice.
something similar. I have my phone automatically goes on do not disturb at 8:15.
Yeah.
It's like my dad, my mom, and my wife are the only ones that can come through during that time.
Yep.
That's
Yep.
why you don't
And
respond to me.
Until about like 10 o'clock at night when I'm doom scrolling on social media. I'm like, oh, Derick texted me. Hold on.
Exactly. Yep. Yep. Yeah. Because, you know, and I'm sure you guys can relate with your wives. Like, you get that look that's like, are you seriously working right now? So, you know, I prefer to not get that look anymore.
Yeah. Tony she gets it sometimes, but there's also times like if we're going on date night, I'll just put my phone in her purse.
Yeah.
Like I don't even want to put it on vibrate because if I feel it vibrate, like
you want to grab it?
Yeah. Yeah, I want to know.
Yep. I'm the same way.
It's our ADHD. Yeah. I
Yep.
think every sales kind of person has that. Like, oh, I gotta
Yep.
get it.
I'm just terrible with the boundaries. I'm trying to get better, but okay. I did want to touch on one last thing. And kind of segue or whatever you said, like you didn't know you were really doing good until somebody told you. So recently you were number one in your brokerage for the month, but this also happens to be a very new brokerage to you. You recently made a switch.
I sure did.
Tell me about that. Was it an easy decision? Like, are you at like a big box real estate company, or you know, just tell me all about the switch to the brokerage, where you like went from, where you went to, stuff like that.
It was so hard for me. I started, like I said, my realtor at the time had her own brokerage, got my license, and immediately started working for her. Very small boutique brokerage, a great place to kind of learn. She kind of took me under her wing, and I learned how to build a clientele. I learned how to go through a contract, you know, all the things to be successful. But I got to a point where I kind of felt like I had sort of hit my cap, and I was like, okay, I need to fly out of the nest. I need to see how someone else runs their business, because my long-term plan, probably 3 to 4 years from now, would be to get my broker's license and run my own brokerage. And I felt like I would be doing myself a disservice if I stayed at the same brokerage until I got my own broker's license, because I didn't know how anyone else was running their business. So I love and still to this day adore and appreciate my first broker. She taught me everything that I know. She is the one who really pushed relationships and repeat clients and referrals. And so she really taught me what to do. And so moving forward, I'm like, okay, if I want to get my broker's license, I'm going to have to see how someone else runs their business. So then I know the pros and cons of doing what I want to do when I run my own business. And so I decided to jump ship to a larger, more luxury based brokerage, big, fancy Park Ave office, you know, the work. And it's been a great experience. It's definitely taught me different programs that they use, different marketing strategies, all the things to push my business to the next level. And not only to get more clients, but also to see how he runs his business and what I think would be able to help me when I decide to make that jump to a broker.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't think you did it because you thought grass would be greener. I think you just went to do it to see how somebody else mows their grass. Like,
yeah, exactly. Exactly.
You know, exactly. What does, you know, this person do that makes them successful? No, I love it.
Yeah.
I think it's hard when somebody gets comfortable and they've been somewhere for a long time. Like, how do you make that switch? You know, and then you just needed a different perspective, and I think you found it. So
yeah, absolutely. Yep.
awesome.
And there's lots of changes happening now. So we'll kind of see what goes into that. But definitely have my broker's license on the horizon. That's for sure.
Love it.
I think some people forget that some people come into your lives for a period of time. Doesn't mean they're a bad person because they move, you move on from that time period. I mean, it's like, I'm not going to say this, or I'm going to say this analogy, but I'm not going to take credit for it because I know I've heard it from somewhere and I don't know who said it, but it's like a rocket ship goes up and it has those boosters on it, like the boosters only go so far with it and then they fall off. Like that's their job. Like
Yeah.
somebody comes in your life, they're only there for so long and that was their job. So like switching brokerages is never a bad thing when, you know, hey, you're trying to grow and move on with things. So
Yeah,
I'm
that's a
I'm the
great
one that
analogy.
told
I
you
wish
that.
I would have known that analogy
No,
when
you
I was
didn't.
going through this, because it was so hard. It was so hard. I felt like I was like, okay, you taught me everything I know. Now I'm successful and I don't need you anymore. And I really didn't want that to be the thought. So it was.
I remember when you called me about it and you're like, I'm thinking of doing this, but I am terrified. I don't know if it's the right move or what. So
Yeah.
awesome. All right, Stephen, you have anything else you wanted to ask?
No, I think
about does it up. Marisa, for anybody listening, if they wanted to try and find you, how can they find you?
You can find me on social media. My Instagram handle is RealtorRisk23, and all my contact is there. So that's probably the best way to reach me.
Gotcha. Love it.
Perfect.
All right. Well, that wraps it up. Thank you, Marisa Falk, for joining us. Loved your insight into real estate. This has been the Brutally Honest Loan Officer podcast. Stephen, say bye.
Bye.
See you next time.
Bye, guys. Thank you.
Thank you.